Hello and welcome to Who Wore It Better, where I review Raw and Smackdown back to back and try and figure out which show won for the week. So did I miss anything Friday? Baron Corbin opens up Monday Night Raw with the whole roster on the stage and a whole line of local talent as security guards in front of the ring. They show a hype package from what happened at Crown Jewel with Strowman and Lesnar. Okay, of all the potential possibilities of like title versus title matches at Survivor Series, Lesnar Styles 2 to me makes the most sense. It's probably the biggest, the most noteworthy kind of combination. And I get they were trying to build up Braun as a super sympathetic figure in the way they booked that match at Crown Jewel, but I feel that it would have, meant a lot more if he hadn't already lost to Lesnar a couple of times, in the last year and a half, 2 years or so. Kudos, they had him kick out of 5 F5s this time instead of the one, going down by 1 F5 at No Mercy last year. So at least that's an improvement. Baron then discusses these Survivor Series teams for Raw. He announces he's going to be the men's captain, but not in a wrestling capacity. He announces Braun and friends, that's Braun, Drew, and Dolph, are going to be the first 3 guys on the men's team. Bet you that's not going to be awkward. And then he announces Alexa Bliss as the non-wrestling captain of the female team for Raw, and she announces a 6-woman tag team rematch from Evolution, where the Riot Squad goes against Sasha, Bayley, and Natalya. Oh joy, I can't wait to see that match again. Kurt Angle then interrupts and basically goads Corbin into a one-on-one match where if Kurt wins, he'll become the captain of Team Raw. Then Braun Strowman shows up. He destroys this line of security guys as he goes after Corbin, and then he starts fighting some of the guys that are on the stage, and then Braun swims his way through the rest of the guys and goes to the back. Meanwhile, everyone on stage is still fighting each other. Why? Why are you still fighting? Anyway, I think this is a pretty strong opening segment. It addressed a lot of stuff in kind of a short amount of time. Got a lot of people kind of saying their piece and everything, and established a lot of what was going to happen through the rest of the night. So I think it was a very strong opening bit. We then get that women's tag team match, the 6-woman rematch from Evolution. Natalya is wearing her late father's sunglasses to the ring for her entrance, and it's a pretty entertaining match until the finish happens, where Natalya gets Sarah Logan in the sharpshooter, and then Ruby Riott on the outside grabs the sunglasses and right in front of her just breaks them into a few pieces, and Natalya just stops what she's doing, goes outside. Everyone surrounds her as she just starts sobbing uncontrollably, drooling out of her mouth, and the match just ends. It doesn't have an actual finish. Do the Riot Squad get counted out? Does anyone get counted out? Does anything happen? No, it just ends on this kind of and Natalya's sad now. I get what they're trying to accomplish, but the fact the match just kind of evaporated and didn't really have a conclusion, which is weird. We get Jinder Mahal versus Apollo Crews, and before the match begins, there's a pre-taped promo where Apollo says he wants to start stacking up those wins, and the stack has apparently begun on the back of the former WWE champion in Jinder Mahal. Very short match. I think it was maybe about 2 minutes long, if that. 3, and I'm being generous there. He wins the standing moonsault, does Apollo. Before the match, they actually show a bit of a highlight package of the DX versus Undertaker and Kane matchup at Crown Jewel. All I can say about that is what a freaking stud Triple H is to have torn his pec about halfway through the match and just kept going and at a very high level and continued the matchup. At the end, he even did the pose thing. Oh my God, how could you even do this with a torn pec? That would lay me out. That would lay a lesser man out to have a huge tear like that. And of course, not the first time he's torn a muscle or some kind of injury and finished the match. He's torn both his quads and finished the match as well. So it's very, not at the same time though, separate matches. But yeah, very impressive by Triple H to go through with that and gut it out in spite of injury. Not much else I can say about that. Seth Rollins comes out with 3 belts, the Intercontinental Championship and both tag straps, and he says that Lesnar winning the Universal Championship at Crown Jewel was a slap in the face to everyone in the world, essentially. He says he can't defend the tag titles by himself, but then Baron Corbin shows up on the big screen and says, actually, you will be defending them against AOP. It's about as good a match as you can expect in a handicap situation where one man's going against these 2 huge hosses, like the Authors of Pain. Rollins, it looks strong as hell. The fact that he's got to fend off not just, Authors of Pain, but also Drake Maverick, who gets on the apron and interferes as well. So Rollins goes down. AOP are the new Raw Tag Team Champions. It does feel like it kind of comes out of nowhere because AOP's kind of been just kind of in the background lately. That thing they had last week with Rude and Gable and the Ascension was a blow off to something that happened 3 weeks ago, and they weren't on TV between those 2 points, and they didn't even win that match. So I thought it was kind of weird for them to come out all of a sudden now be the tag team champions. But if you look at the situation of the tag team scene on Raw right now, they're probably the most legit team besides maybe the Revival. to suddenly jump in and become tag team champions. And the Revival are currently embroiled with the Lucha House Party right now, so they're kind of waiting their turn. But yeah, AOP as new tag champs, I like the potential where that can go. After the match, Dean Ambrose shows up and he asks Seth, "You want to know why I did what I did?" And he just drops some dirty deeds. Again, no answer given by Dean, and I look forward to the day that we actually get one. Hopefully, it'll be worth the wait. Dolph Ziggler comes out to complain about the forces working against him in the finals of the Crown Jewel tournament, which was a pretty valid complaint, by the way, just looking at the situation. Then Elias interrupts, and he says that Oasis will reunite if he plays this next song. We cut to a shot of Noel Gallagher in the crowd laughing that off. Dolph cuts him off, challenging him to a match, and it's on like Diddy Kong. Elias is stupid over in Manchester. Like the people, they're chanting for him like every other minute. It's pretty consistent. Elias gets a rope break out of the zigzag, hits him with the drift away to win the match. And it's a pretty entertaining match here. One of the better ones I've seen from Elias in recent weeks. Ronda Rousey shows up and cuts a promo in the ring to counter what Becky Lynch said the previous week. Nia Jax interrupts her and says, you know, good luck at Survivor Series, but I'm waiting for you as soon as you're done with that obstacle. Then Ember Moon shows up. We have a match between her and Nia. I'm like, again? That being said, this was probably like the most entertaining match these two have had in the last several weeks. They're third in the series, I believe. Nia wins with a Samoan drop. Then Tamina shows up once again. She and Nia stare each other down. Tamina beats up Ember, and then Nia joins in. And so now Nia has like officially turned heel. People were commenting on that on social media on Monday, but I'm like, I thought she turned heel last week, you know, when she kind of did the throw in shade promo on Ember Moon backstage before their matchup. Like, I saw it coming. I don't know if anyone else did, but this, like, officially, it's her first physical thing that makes her turn heel. And again, this, it's kind of like the joke is, she's kind of the Big Show. She's going to break his record of like how many times she turns face and heel. It's basically, you know, depending on what story they want to tell and what the plot demands, that's where she's going to be slotted in. And it's really unfortunate because like it really kind of kills the magic of a good face or heel turn when someone does it with the frequency as like Big Show and now Nia Jax have done. Baron Corbin has been spending all night running away from Braun Strowman to the point where he's now leaving the arena, fearing for his safety, though he does replace himself with Drew McIntyre in the match against Kurt Angle later in the night before he drives off. We then get Bobby Lashley versus Finn Balor yet again. Hooray. Before the match, Bobby shows his ass to the crowd, just classic heel work. Just great psychology there. It's a pretty good match though. I love the finish where Lashley catches Finn mid-chase after Leo Rush and slams him. He wins the gut wrench suplex. I kind of like the move coming from him, but I wish it had a name. Drew McIntyre then shows up. He runs off Lashley. He picks up Finn only to drop him with the Claymore right afterward. Oh, what a baddie. We then go to the main event of Drew versus Kurt Angle. It's Kurt's first singles match on Raw since 2006. Holy crap, what a statistic. If Kurt wins, of course, he becomes the new Captain of Raw, replacing Baron Corbin. This match was really good, and the finish just like twisted the dagger in my heart because Drew McIntyre just puts Kurt Angle down like a dog. And I know that phrase is a Steven Larson joke. I'm not trying to rip them off. I don't know how they say it. I'm just saying that's what I got from this moment here. It's like seeing old Yeller go down, just seeing Drew just beat the piss out of Kurt Angle again and again, and just kind of like mocking Kurt until finally Kurt gets one moment of brilliance where he gets the ankle lock locked in, but he can't hold on to it. And it gets really dark and intense with like Drew getting in Kurt's face and grabbing him, like yelling at him. Drew hits the Olympic slam onto Kurt, then the ankle lock. Kurt taps out after a valiant fight. My God, like just when I think that wrestling can't make me feel feelings anymore, like that thing happens. You see like one of your heroes go down. It was just like, ugh, it was so brutal and it was so powerful at the same time. It makes Drew look like a killer, look like $1 million, like easily his most high-profile win of the company since being the NXT champion. But this is like, that's so much more elevated than that, I feel. It's like a passing of the torch. It's like, this, I feel, is very similar to like Taker and Roman Reigns at WrestleMania, but like better. It felt more deep and personal near the end than I expected because other than the fact that I know that, you know, he knows he's beating the shit out of a legend, do Drew and Kurt have some kind of special bond that I'm not aware of? Like I know they work together in Impact, but like this seems kind of out of left field the way like he was getting so into it and the way Kurt was so like, I don't know. It's hard to put into words, but it was a very strong main event and closing sequence. The best in the world, Shane McMahon opens up SmackDown. What a troll move to have him win the tournament at Crown Jewel. Obviously, it's a way to set up like a heel turn for him, but I feel there's a better way to go about having him turn heel than for him to completely undermine this entire tournament they spent so much time hyping up. He tries to deflect and say, oh, this trophy is for everyone on SmackDown, which gets a nice little golf clap when he says that. He and Paige then talk about the men's Survivor Series matchup. Shane announces Daniel Bryan as the team captain. The Miz interrupts and says he should be captain because he made it to the finals of the tournament, and Shane then says, both Miz and Daniel are co-champions. It goes over like a fart in church. Daniel's music plays, and that's the end of the segment. That was a really lame way to end that segment, but I did like the follow-up backstage after the break where you see Miz and Daniel agreeing that Shane McMahon should be the third man of the team, and then Miz lets Daniel get the next pick, and Daniel's like, thanks, Miz, and they have this look like, this is weird, like they can't believe what's happening. I like that bit a lot. It's a tale as old as time, the New Day versus the Usos. In this case, the winning team will be the team captains for the Tag Team Survivor Series match at the pay-per-view. Really good stuff, lots of crazy spots from all the people involved as expected of them. The Usos win the match, and then they immediately declare the New Day as their first pick for the tag team match at Survivor Series. It's very sweet of them, very good stuff. Backstage, Daniel Bryan picks Rey Mysterio as his next guy for the team, assuming he beats Andrade Almas later in the night. They agree on how to pick the final member of the team, and things are still weird, still more of that kind of like unlikely, chemistry and unlikely working together. It's very short-lived, but I did really enjoy what they were doing there, and I really hope they can build off that and maybe expand more and really explore that kind of tension they have. It's Becky Lynch promo time. She responds to Ronda Rousey's promo from Monday, which was a response to Becky Lynch's promo from last Tuesday, and this one was just as good. You might say it was straight fire, huh? I really have enjoyed this week's promos from the Raw and SmackDown Women's Champions. Whoever's handling the promos for these two, this angle thus far, is doing a bang-up job. Then she makes a challenge to anyone in the back. Out comes Sanity, and then Nikki Cross, who's making her first appearance on SmackDown. She appeared on Raw several months ago when they announced Evolution, but that's all she did. She just showed up there. This is her first actual main roster match. So, oh man, this is a really exciting time. It's a pretty evenly fought battle. Becky wins to disarm her after throwing Nikki into the ropes first. A solid debut for Nikki. Even in defeat, she looks pretty strong, and it's very exciting to see her here. I don't know if I doubt this is an official call-up because she's still very involved in like the main event storyline with NXT right now. I think this is more of a, hey, we're in the UK, so let's have an Irish lady and a Scottish lady in a wrestling match. That'll be fun. So still very exciting to see Nikki on SmackDown. Exciting to see Sanity on SmackDown. Jeez, when the last time we saw those guys? For the first time ever, we get Rey Mysterio versus Andrade Cien Almas. If Rey wins, then he is for sure officially going into the men's Survivor Series match. Very fun stuff, very entertaining match by both guys here. Rey wins after the 619 and dropping the dime, and is immediately taken out by Randy Orton after the match is over as a revenge for what happened in the World Cup tournament. We then go to a backstage pre-tape promo from AJ Styles. He talks about how 1 year ago he won the title in Manchester. Kind of a bummer he's not actually there live in Manchester for SmackDown. He might have done something in the dark match afterward, I don't know, but he wasn't there live for SmackDown. Paige is back out to introduce the Women's Survivor Series team for SmackDown. It's Carmella, Naomi, Sonya Deville, Asuka, and Charlotte Flair. However, Charlotte does not show up, but Mandy Rose does. Mandy throws shade at Sonya for being selected over her, along with everyone else in the team, and she references Naomi's husband, and then they have a bit of a spat. We have a face-off between Mandy and Sonya. You can tell the two don't really want to fight each other because they're still friends, and so Mandy just leaves, and that's the end of the segment. So very interesting note to end on, how they're going to be booking this wedge between Mandy and Sonya going forward. I'm very interested to see where that goes. And also, I guess, Charlotte didn't show up at all, so what happened to her, I guess. Assuming there's no lineup changes from what they announced here, I'm actually really liking this team. I think it's a very solid mix of the proven female stars and the up-and-comers, the ones who aren't exactly proven but have a lot of upside and are very entertaining in their own way. So it's a very solid team they've picked here. Main event time, the winner gets the final spot in Team SmackDown for the men's Survivor Series matchup here. Daniel Bryan's pick is Jeff Hardy, and The Miz's Miz's pick is Smojo. We also see Miz and Bryan joining on commentary, and whatever awkward, friendly chemistry these two had earlier in the night has now completely dissolved, as they're both being very Homerish for their respective guys. It's an okay match. Joe wins the Coquina Clutch after blocking and putting the knees up for the Swanton Bomb. After the match, Bryan and Joe get into a scuffle. The Miz breaks it up, and then he and Daniel fight for a bit. Shane McMahon gets in the ring, and he gets hip-tossed by Daniel for his efforts. And then Daniel's, he walks away. So there's trouble among the ranks on Team SmackDown. How will these fellas coexist? A very kind of chaotic end to SmackDown, but in a good way. Time now for me to decide which show won for the week, Raw or SmackDown. This week I have to go with SmackDown this time around. It was just an overall stronger show. Lots of fresh matches, lots of fun moments as well. With Raw, I did enjoy AOP becoming the new tag team champions. I think Dolph versus Elias was a great match. Ronda's promo was very strong, and Drew versus Kurt was just an emotional roller coaster to be certain. But God, the whole show was just bogged down by rematch after rematch after rematch. I got sick of it. And just Natalya's breakdown, the whole way that match ended, like I didn't hate Natalya like weeping over the broken sunglasses. I thought it was a little weird because I'm sure that Jim had more than one pair of sunglasses, but that one was what really sent her over the edge. But just the fact the match ended on such a weird note, like didn't have an ending. It just ended on Natalya crying, no bell ringing. I guess the match gets thrown out due to heartbreak. With SmackDown, I think, again, more fresh matchups. We've seen New Day versus Usos 100 times, but like at least it was still an entertaining matchup. Becky Lynch's promo was great. Nikki Cross debuting was awesome. Ray versus Almas was fun, and the main event, the match itself was kind of so-so, but seeing the interactions all night between The Miz and Daniel Bryan was really interesting as co-captains. How will this play out in the future weeks? It's not even that long of a build between now and Survivor Series. It feels like it's a long ways away, but it's not. So curious to see how they're going to keep this going, if they'll keep this tension going beyond Survivor Series as well. Let me know what you thought about Raw and SmackDown this week in the comments section below, and be sure to vote which show you thought was better in the gimmick in the upper right hand corner of your screen. Be sure to thumbs up this video if you like it, subscribe to Wrestling with Regret, buy the t-shirts at ProWrestlingTees.com, and check out Patreon.com/WrestlingWithRegret for exclusive perks and bonus content. I'm Brian Zane, and I'll see you next time.